समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या समझ में नहीं आया।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है, अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
आप समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
As we continue to look at the aftermath of the tragic plane crash in Baramati, Maharashtra, one that took 5 lives, including that of Maharashtra Deputy Chief Minister Ajit Pawar, disturbing questions have arisen, both about the chartered company that provided this plane for hiring to Mr. Pawar, as well as the role of the Aviation Regulator. Earlier today, I spoke on conditions of anonymity to a whistleblower, somebody who works with VSR Ventures, the company to whom this aircraft that crashed actually belonged, or rather, to be more accurate, the company leases out these aircraft. What has emerged from this whistleblower's account, and we have promised to protect his identity, is truly shocking. It paints a picture of not just deliberate violation of safety regulations, but of possible corruption, financial corruption. We'll get to those details in just a moment. I want to introduce a very distinguished panel of aviation experts. We have both the two major pilots associations represented on the special broadcast. Captain Randhawa from the Federation of Pilots is with us. Welcome to the program. I also want to welcome Captain Sam Thomas from ALPA. Welcome to the program. I'm also delighted to have back with us Sohail Seth. I have to give Sohail credit for first flagging all the murky questions around the role of VSR as well as the DGCA. Yesterday, Sohail on this program called them hand in glove. Well, the whistleblower, Sohail, seems to agree with you, and he's offered many more details to buttress the argument you made. So thank you for making that point, and welcome to the program. And also joining us is Captain Amit Singh, who leads the Safety Matters Foundation and is also one of the petitioners in the Supreme Court in the Air India 171 crash case. So gentlemen, welcome all of you to the program. Let's get straight to the shocking revelations from the whistleblower's account. This is somebody I've spent the day talking to, and we're going to bring them up one by one. I'm going to start with the most serious allegation. This is something that Sohail, in fact, alluded to, but these are exact quotes. Can't give the whistleblower's name, but this is a statement I have in writing. It is a statement, therefore, on background, but without the name, but very, very specific details. The whistleblower says to me, there are credible allegations that the inspections that take place of any aviation company by the regulator, the DGCA, were quote unquote influenced through payments to certain DGCA personnel. I'm going to read this again slowly because it's that serious. A whistleblower from inside VSR Ventures saying to me, there are credible allegations and a belief within the company that inspections by the DGCA were influenced by payments to certain DGCA personnel. The whistleblower then goes on to say that that is why the organization does not take mistakes very seriously. Remember, there has been an earlier crash involving an aircraft, the same model from the same company in 2023. The AAIB has not yet completed its final report on that crash, but the whistleblower is saying the organization uses financial influence rather than corrective actions. And in fact, the whistleblower told me he doesn't even believe any change will come now because the organization is that confident that financial influence with certain personnel of the DGCA have helped it get away. Persistent non-compliances. There's an entire culture of safety norms that are violated. Our whistleblower inside this company tells us that the company gets away. These non-compliances remain unreported because DGCA personnel have been influenced. I would not put out such a grave allegation if I did not have it very, very specifically in writing from a whistleblower inside this particular company. Now, what are some of these norms? Well, the whistleblower is reminding us that the safety norms have been violated to such a degree that what has happened in Baramati cannot be called an unforeseen accident. It is, in fact, a result of a deliberate disregard for aviation safety. let's come to some of the ways in which VSR Ventures, according to the whistleblower who has been talking to me since yesterday, has violated these norms. The first shocking thing that I was alarmed to hear is that the whistleblower tells me that it is not uncommon for aircraft leased from this particular company to have the cockpit voice recorders turned off. The CVRs are often found in off mode. This is what the whistleblower said to me. Remember, this is so important because the CVR is critical evidence as to what causes a crash. Of course, the whistleblower goes on to say that this is completely in violation of all safety rules. And then the whistleblower adds that even the basic, rudimentary, mandatory safety norm of a checklist, there is no checklist usage in aircraft that are flown by VSR Ventures. Now we come to the very critical point, and as all of you will be very interested in this, we've all been talking about it. When the Indigo crisis happened, it concerned it concerned the issue of pilots and fatigue, right? What is the rest time? It's called FDTL regulations, and we saw the whole chaos with Indigo. Now, the whistleblower inside this particular charter says that FDTL regulations were routinely violated. And here's how they were violated. There was actually, according to him, a manipulation of the documents. So let me give you an example. If we can move on to the next slide. Basically, if a pilot has flown 12 hours in one day, the documents would show that the pilot has actually flown those 12 hours over 2 days. And the whistleblower is saying that this was a very commonplace manipulation of documents. The whistleblower is also reminding us, even as there are whispers that grow about possible pilot fault in this crash too, he is saying that significant pilot fatigue directly compromises flight safety. So this is a very grave allegation. We've had allegations of the CVR being turned off. We've had allegations of FDTL details, the number of flying hours of a pilot being falsified on paper. We've had, above all, a grave allegation of financial payments to DGCA personnel. And last but not the least, this whistleblower tells us that, believe it or not, there is no SOP, no standard operating procedure. Every aviation company either has its own SOP or it has the SOP of the manufacturer. So, for example, Boeing and Airbus will have their own SOP for particular planes. This gentleman says to me that there is no such SOP for pilots or for first officers. In fact, he goes on to describe the absence of a safety culture. It says, like I said, that neither the company nor the manufacturer's SOPs are followed, which means that basically every pilot has his own set of norms, and the first officers have to catch up. He also talks a little bit, the whistleblower, about the absence of a safety culture, says that all of them are trained by a trainer called CEA. They are based out of London, if I'm not wrong, and that the CEA had issued repeated warnings to this company, better get your act together, otherwise there will be a serious accident, and that is exactly what has happened. Finally, something about the owners who have already been accused of financially influencing personnel inside the aviation regulator. We are being told by our whistleblower that the company is basically a one-man shop. It's a father and son shop. There's no functional safety management system or what's called SMS. We'll keep replaying these points. Let's go back to the first point of the financial influence allegation as I now open this up for comments. Before I come to our three veteran pilots, I want to actually bring in Sohail. I'm just waiting for the screen to actually come back as we... Yeah, there's Sohail. Sohail, we were talking about this yesterday. You said that the DGCA and VSR are alleged to be hand in glove. I actually have a whistleblower's written statement to me. This is in writing from him. I am protecting his identity. He's worried about losing his job. He is presently inside this company, and he has decided to speak because he believes that this accident was not an accident at all. I want to start with the allegation that personnel in the DGCA, he took some names. I'm cautioning you here. I'm not taking those names. He took some names even. He said personnel inside the DGCA, he believes are being paid or have been paid. And that's how VSR is getting away with non-compliance. Your comments.
So I will take names and I will be legally responsible. I don't give a toss. So let me tell you the name that is doing the rounds. I don't know if it's true or false, so that we are legally protecting ourselves. The name is Shweta Singh, whose name came up even during the Indigo crisis. Who she is, God knows. Have I met her in my life? Never. Do I plan to? Never. But Shweta Singh is a name that has been constantly coming up in all the responses I've got on my Twitter feed. B, this was the name that was being propped up even during the Indigo crisis as the person who is allegedly or ostensibly having taken money. That's number one. Number two, there is no denial about one fact that the DGCA is in complete partnership or collusion, if one could say, with this particular firm. If you saw, and I'm amazed, and you have three veterans here, so they can weigh in. This is the first time, Barkha, that the DGCA and the Minister for Civil Aviation, without an investigation, without any pending inquiry, have jumped the gun and said, no, this was a weather-related issue. The same weather-related issue was the phrase that was used in 2023 when another aircraft from the same company crashed in Bombay. Now, here's my question. If I don't know what the inquiry is saying, there is no investigation, the black box has just been recovered, how do you come to the conclusion that it's a weather-related issue? A, B, there are three pilots here. A plane would flip to its side in the manner that it has because of weather? I mean, who are you fooling? I mean, any person. These guys are pilots. I've never been a pilot in my life, but I fly almost as much as a pilot does. This is unheard of. Number two, if you see the CCTV footage, which is taken from
Which shows the plane flipping, or the other one?
No, the one which goes into a ball of fire.
Yeah, we'll show you that in just a moment. Keep going. Yeah.
So now you tell me how on earth, this is the one I'm talking about, 8:45, this particular CCTV footage shows this ball of fire. There's another video which shows the plane flipping. In this video of 8:45 taken from this shop angle, the weather is pretty clear. Look at the weather here. I mean, the sky couldn't be bluer unless if it was in Delhi. So where have they come to the conclusion that it is a weather-related issue? So my point is as simple. Whether it is weather or not, the fact is that the DGCA has cast itself in grime and dirt because of the manner in which A, it conducts investigations, and B, in the way in which it regulates the aviation sector in India. I don't want to go back into history, but 22 crores a fine for Indigo for the kind of mess that was caused between December 3 and December 7. But that let it pass. Let's imagine that that's a fair fine, according to some people, mandarins. My problem, Barkha, which I told you yesterday also, is why do we not have people like these on the panel who are actually in charge and in the DGCA? What do goddamn bureaucrats know about aviation other than asking for free upgrades? What do they know? How are we allowing the aviation sector to continue to be mishandled and mismanaged with grave incompetence and at times ineptness, and we never seem to learn our lessons? Now, the AAIB has also not covered itself in glory. Today, we are raising the issue of a 2023 investigation on which only a preliminary report has been filed. Now, you tell me, isn't there a process by way of which either the government or the regulator, which is part of the government, flags the fact that this pending investigation has achieved 20%, 40%, 60%, 70%, that people are aware? Go to the DGCA website. The website is as opaque as Delhi's fog. There is no clarity on the website on anything, whether it is SOPs, protocols, investigation, passenger rights, charter of rights, nothing. So I'm saying, Andhi Nagari mein Kana Raja. Andher Nagari mein Kana Raja. This is what we are seeing today. And it is sad that when we have great pilots, and I told you yesterday, when I was on the British Airways Advisory Board, always the one thing that Willie Walsh and everyone else would say, India's pilots and its crew are the finest in the world. Every time a crash happens, we take the easy way out of blaming the pilot. We don't talk about the manufacturer. We don't talk about the operator. We don't talk about the rules. We don't talk about the bending of the rules and the collusion. between regulator and operator. And I think it's high time this happened. And I'm glad you're doing this twice in a row, 2 days in a row, because this is what we need. Otherwise, this too will be forgotten. We are like Alice in Wonderland. We live from lesson to lesson, but never learn any lessons.
That's well said. And again, I must thank you, Sohail, for your plain speak and also for first flagging the murky history around VSR Ventures, which is how I started digging deeper. Very quickly, before I open it up for our three pilots to comment, basically, you have named names. You have spoken about a particular official in the DGCA, but you have also said that you too, yesterday, without a whistleblower's account on record, had heard about financial influence and impropriety. And today you have a whistleblower saying that basically this company was not following safety norms and it was getting away because personnel inside the DGCA were being paid off. This
Absolutely.
is a clear case
I was told
of corruption.
I can take the Fifth Amendment, even though it's not valid in India, as someone who is a part of the media in a part. But the fact, Barkha, is that people are coming up and telling you these things. People are saying this on Twitter in response to that tweet that I put out.
Yeah.
And I was very clear. And look at this. The DGCA normally responds. The other day when I slammed them on some other issues, they will respond. On this, they haven't responded. But if you have nothing to hide, you say, bullshit, this is utter rubbish. These are the protocols that we have followed. No protocol was followed. Now you tell me, Baramati is a VVIP constituency. People are flying in and out. Today you've had the Home Minister of India, the BJP President, the Maharashtra Chief Minister, all these chaps flying in and out. Have you upgraded the airport's instrumentation landing system? You can't. Do you have an ATC there? No. It's the damn Flying Institute at Baramati, which actually guides, because this is a VFR, a visual flying airport, VFA, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
So even between yesterday in the morning and today, we haven't learned any lesson. God forbid something had happened today. Now, the problem here is no one actually goes into the intricacies of these things, and we let this pass because human life in India means nothing. If it wasn't Ajit Pawar in this crash, we wouldn't be having this discussion. But in a way, irony as it may be, I'm glad that that is one service, if the late Ajit Pawar has done or will do, is that we overhaul the way we regulate our aviation sector.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's so, Sam, I saw you nodding when Sohail said this. Sohail, stay as long as you can. I know you have to hop off for a meeting, but I'm going to open this up. Captain Sam Thomas, I saw you agreeing when Sohail made the point about if it weren't for a VIP on this plane, we won't even be discussing this. As always, we have seen the finger pointing begin at pilots. Again, I hold no brief for anybody. If it is a pilot error, let the evidence show that. But there is the shocking allegations that are coming from inside the company. This is somebody who is risking a lot to actually give me these details. Are you surprised? Are you shocked? Or are you like Sohail, basically not shocked because you were hearing this or in the know of this anyway?
Ma'am, good evening. Absolutely right. There are a couple of points that I need to highlight. One is I am surprised that you are surprised at these allegations. We've been in it. Everybody knows it. And the other thing is we are mostly enamored by Mr. Sohail Seth's diction and the delivery of whatever he says, and the truth factor is tremendous. I wish I had such...
The truth factor is what matters, more than the eloquence even. Yeah.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what I was shocked to hear yesterday on the same panel was Mr. Seth put out a sentence to say that VSR can send its gundas behind me, I don't care. That is shocking to me. I mean, if that is going to be a fact, then we are really, really far away from, forget investigations. We are not even close to
that was not a fact.
Out.
That wasn't a fact. I was just saying that, we really don't care. I mean,
But can I ask you what has been the reaction to the fact of what you said of the DGCA? Did you get calls from the government, from DGCA saying this was not true? Nothing?
No.
Just stony silence?
No. And, I mean, as Sam said, it'll take them a lot of courage to call me because I put it out in the public domain. The only way to respond is put it out in the public domain and then we'll have a discussion.
Yeah.
I'm not going to harbor calls or, people saying, oh, but we'll do this for you. I don't need VIP stickers for airports. I don't need car passes. I don't need anything. So,
Okay.
what the hell can they do?
Okay, Sam, sorry. Let
Yeah,
let you finish your point. Yeah.
Yeah, ma'am, the third point is the VVIP. Firstly, it's a wrong usage of the term. VIP is the max you can use for anybody other than the president, vice president, and prime minister in the nomenclature. Now, there is a lot of unsaid pressure on pilots when we operate these flights. It's not directly the person in charge. Say, for instance, a particular minister. He will not put pressure on you. But these cronies who are with him will call you 25 times in about half an hour and tell you that it's imperative that the minister reach there at this time.
Yeah.
Having said that, now you had visual flight rules airport, and at 3,200 meters of reported visibility, how did you commence an approach? The second part of it is 3,200 is not 3,200. Here's a little bit technical factor that comes in. Without confusing the public, I'd like to just inform you that the serious details of this would be given by Captain Amit Singh. When there's a rising sun and the fog, there is a tunnel effect. This airplane was landing on runway 11. So you're looking directly into the sun, and that can cause a problem. The very fact that he made the first go around citing no runway in sight is very clear that the visibility was not sufficient.
Can I be direct? Can I be direct? When you say this pressure on pilots from political cronies, that minister has to reach so-and-so rally, the pilot clearly did a go around because he could not see the runway or he did not think it fit to land the aircraft. But this second video, which shows the plane swerving, flipping midair, and lurching to the left before landing, tells you that this plane did not crash because of something going wrong in the landing. Something went wrong much earlier. Look at this video. The plane is swerving.
Yes, ma'am, I have seen it. It's a telltale sign of what has happened, but it's not correct to tell you that this is the only reason that it happened. When you spot a runway late, in low visibility with the rising sun, sometimes you spot the runway very late. Since you have already made a go around, you put pressure on yourself. There is this minister. Otherwise, what he would have done is just gone back to probably Indore or somewhere in or the designated alternate.
Basically, can I ask you this directly? If it weren't a politician on board, if it weren't a powerful, important person on board, the pilot in his own or her own estimation may have said, we cannot land in these conditions. But because there is so much pressure, you sometimes go against your own better judgment because you're under pressure to land the plane. Am I right in saying that?
It's very close, ma'am. Very close. It's not just politicians. We fly very high net worth individuals who, believe that if they miss that particular appointment, it's the end of the world. But what we'd like to tell them is, please, you are doing more harm to yourself by pressurizing the crew. There are various forms of pressurization.
Yeah,
and
I want to come
it's not always direct.
Yes, I understand. And that's one more element in this conversation. But I want to come back to the whistleblowers account and get reactions. Captain Thomas, you say you're not surprised. You're surprised that I'm surprised. I just think the fact that it can be so brazen, the fact that a youngish person who's risked everything to give me these details, even though he's scared of losing his job, Captain Randhawa, has come out with this. The federations, ALPA, you should be taking this up. What is going on here? The direct allegation is that safety norms, including the flying hours of pilots, are being manipulated on documents. CVRs are being left off. There is no SOP. The warnings from trainers are being ignored. And according to this whistleblower, the owner of this company gets away because effectively he's being accused of bribing personnel inside the DGCA. Suhail said this yesterday. He has taken names today. But I am saying a whistleblower is saying this and we have to take it seriously.
Yeah, Barkha, I agree with my fellow panelists, Suhail, and later on, Sam also said, and you also have come out with certain findings. First and foremost thing, let me tell you that Baramati is a. First, I will touch upon the airfield because I've been to Baramati. Baramati is a tabletop airport, slight tabletop airport, and it's 5,800, and the runway direction is 1129. Now, it is really bizarre that, firstly, if you go around the fencing of that airfield, it is breached all sides. You find cattle and cows, they are grazing close to the runway. Okay, I've seen it, right? And I reported that matter at that time to DGCA, and nothing happened. So I don't know whether they have done something about the perimeter fencing.
Okay.
The second point is there is no aid available, that landing aid, that is ILS or a VOR. It's a visual runway. Now, the rules say that you should have 5 kilometers of visibility. The only case in which you can use the special VFR provision, which they started about 2 years back in DGCA, there has to be an approval given by the DGCA to use the special VFR in which you come down to 1.5 kilometers. That is given based on the experience level of the pilots and the company's record, and it is not easily given. Now, I am totally surprised when the weather was bad at Pune, when it had crossed Pune, this aircraft, and was handed over to Baramati. The visibility was below minima. It was below 5 kilometers. So at 3 kilometers, this is the AIB statement, 3 kilometers. How did the aircraft commence the approach? First of all, you are not supposed to commence the approach if the visibility is below minima, and the aircraft should have diverted, or if had the fuel, should have held on over the air. The next point, what rightly said that when you land into the sun, there is an illusion in the pilot's mind, and when they see, then there is a type of illusion because there is a lot of glare because you're landing into the sun. And on top of that, the visibility is also 3 kilometers. So there is a factor of visibility, though.
But hang on. You're actually saying that the plane should have diverted. It should never have made that first approach where it had to go around. The plane should have turned back or gone
because
somewhere
it was
else.
3 kilometers. 3 kilometers. Yeah. No one is talking about it. I've been harping upon since yesterday at every channel that no one is talking, including the minister. Minister just said that no, weather was okay. Weather was a criteria. There was fog. Where is fog? There is no fog. There is no mist. The visibility was low. Secondly, there is a difference between the horizontal visibility and the slant visibility. That is another point to be considered. What you see horizontally may not be true when you see slant visibility, where what the pilots see when they are coming down. The next point, if you see the aircraft, if the runway is there, the aircraft is actually crashed on the left.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Now, you see the aircraft flipping to the left.
Yeah.
Now, I feel this aircraft, Learjet 45, is a very high-speed aircraft and has high landing speeds. It's got very thin wings, and the span is quite big. It is very prone to tip stalling. So I fear there could have been a tip stall, which will be found out in the DFDR. And
what is the tip stall? What is a tip stall?
Like whenever any aerofoil, it reaches the critical angle of attack, it will stall because the lift is not available at that time, and drag increases, and there will be the rate of descent will increase, the aircraft may bank to one side, so all things. But in a tip stall, what happens, that tip stall can be on either wing.
So let me interject here, Captain Adhama, because I want to get in Amit also for a first perspective. Basically, we've got two important points made by you and Sam. Sam is saying there's a kind of unspoken pressure on people when they're flying important people, on pilots when they're flying important people, to sometimes go against their technical judgment to land the plane. You are going one step further and you're saying this plane shouldn't have even made the first approach.
Yes, yes. And I'll come to next point. If you, what Sam has said is right, we haven't learned lessons. See the fun. We lost Mr. Madhavrao Scindia in 2001 in an accident.
Yeah.
There have been 8 to 10 dignitaries after 2001 who have died till yesterday. Now, what has the government done today? You boast upon that I am opening up 350 airports, so many airports. And when Mr. Scindia was the civil aviation minister, I had brought up to his notice that these Udan flights which go to all these VFR airfields, the flying clubs are operating, and you have no landing aids over there. What a situation. In America, even a small airport which is having one flying club has got these landing aids. Now, VVIPs are going. I will just tell you, when I was in DGCA, Mr. Praful Patel was the civil aviation minister, and he used to often go to Gondia. Now, Gondia is again a VFR airfield. When he was the civil aviation minister, and today we are in 2026, it is still a VFR airfield.
Wow.
So you see that nothing is progressing. We talk about, okay, 1,700 aircraft are going to come. We are going to be third largest. We are going to ask for disasters after disasters in this country if the things are not improved. And we are not actually...
And thank you for speaking so passionately, because it's true. We are in a year of a crash where the AIB has still to even respond to the Supreme Court. Amit, as you well know, is one of the petitioners. Tariq pe Tariq is carrying on. Now we discover that in this VSR Ventures, the 2023 crash that took place, the preliminary report ke baad, the final report is still not been submitted. It's almost coming to 3 years. I mean, it is shocking. And now, Amit, Captain Amit, when you connect this with the whistleblowers account, this is, I think, the CCTV from 2023, when the earlier aircraft, same model, same company, crashed in Mumbai. We don't have the final report of this crash in 2026. It is shocking. Now you connect it to the whistleblowers account, that what Suhail calls a collusion between certain members of the DGCA and this company. And I think Suhail or somebody else, I think Suhail only made this point that in any other country, this charter would be grounded pending investigation. We haven't seen even that announcement. I want you to come back to the whistleblowers account. I want you to come back to what safety, when you hear somebody inside the system saying safety norm after safety norm is being violated, CVRs are put on off position, the number of hours that pilots are flying is being manipulated, is being falsified on documents. They're not being given adequate rest. There is no SOP. And there is now an allegation of financial payoffs. I mean, how does the ordinary person even begin to make sense of all this?
So in a safe environment, in a safety culture, the bottommost at the pyramid is what we call pathological culture. And the topmost is generative culture. Most companies, corporates work somewhere in between. Pathological culture is where you do nothing till you're caught. This is where we are. We continue to violate, continue to jump red lights till somebody catches us. And then we say, okay, tomorrow onwards, we'll do something. Or we pay off the traffic cop and then go and then do the same things till we are caught again. So that continues to be the culture because nobody is interested in changing the culture. We are we are working in silos. All departments working in silos, and we try to tinker a few things here and there. So in order to reach the top or become the topmost, we have to change the culture first, because the culture is the driving force. It is not the technology or the aircrafts, the people, software and everything. The people are more important. What the people are thinking and how they are, on what basis are they making the decisions. So if there is a collusion, which is quite clear, because there is, every time we address the symptoms, blaming the pilot is only addressing the symptom. One of the very well-known safety analysts internationally, Mr. Hudson, he once quipped that who is the first person to arrive at the scene of the accident? There was a pause, and he said the pilot. So the pilot is the first person, but that is a proximate cause. But the root cause is well deep inside.
What leaps out for you, Amit, in both the whistleblowers account and what you've seen so far in the reactions of the regulator or the government or even the company itself?
So there is no reaction. If you listen like a professional company, if there's an accident, the CEO will come, he will speak to the public, but the CEO is not an operational expert. An operational expert has to come along with him, who will tell you the technicalities, whether the aircraft was serviceable, not serviceable, crew was trained or not. So both in Air India and this case, if the minister is giving a statement, minister obviously has a very little understanding based on what his advisors have told him. So weather cannot cause an accident. Like fog or snow, they cannot cause an accident. If I'm flying, there's a cloud in front of me, a huge cloud. That cloud alone is not doing anything to me unless I go inside the cloud. So when the elements come together, then the risk increases. So weather will not cause an accident unless I go inside the weather and start doing something. So weather alone is harmless. Now, if at Baramati the weather was poor, then who permitted the flight from Bombay to Baramati?
Yeah, which is the point
that criteria of a visual approach is that if I have the runway in sight and I can maintain the runway in sight, then I'm cleared for a visual approach. If I say I do not have the runway in sight, nobody will clear me for the visual approach. How was the aircraft cleared for a visual approach? Because the ATC officer there is not a licensed person. He is from a flying school, hired by a flying school, maybe a ex-ATC officer or whatever. They're not licensed people. And of course, that VIP pressure is there. But first thing is, in the whole system, it is not the pilot making a mistake. It is people making a mistake, and the last mistake is made by the pilot. So had the error been caught before, had the aircraft not been cleared, of course, this would have been avoided. And who's reporting the visibility? Again, is it the MET person, official MET person, IMD person? No, it is the some local FTO person. So is it the real visibility, or he is sticking to the minimum criteria? So there are so many checks and balances before it reaches the pilot.
I think that's very
start from the other way around.
Absolutely. I think that's very well explained. I want to come to Suhail, and we'll take another round of comments from all of you. I'll start with you, Suhail. Let's come back to the whistleblower, and let's come back to all of the institutional sort of organizations that owe answers at this point. We need answers from the DGCA. We need answers from the AAIB. We need answers from this particular private company, VSR, at least these three. And you know, I'm sure the federations of pilots, they will make their own submissions. Right now, when in the light of these allegations, who should be responding to these allegations? Should it be the minister? Should it be the regulator? Should it be the aircraft investigation board? Who should it be? Where does the buck stop?
It has to be the regulator. It has to be the regulator, because the aircraft investigation board comes under the regulator. The minister will make political brownie points or political statements. We don't need that. The DGCA has to do the following three things. Number one, issue a statement contradicting themselves and the minister. I know it's going to be difficult, but they should do it for their own sanity. Saying while weather was used as an attribution, or whether was be stated that weather was the cause, we are pending investigation. Number two, they need to ground the entire fleet of VSR until each aircraft has been inspected. Number three, they need to give a finite time limit that the last aircraft which crashed, that inquiry will finish when? By a finite time. Because there may be a clue. Please understand, Barkha, that the VSR people are using the same playbook which they used in 2023, even today. That director, whatever that chap's name is, of VSR, first thing he says, no, it's not a pilot error. It's not. It must be weather. How can you say that? that means you are totally decrying any validation of the investigation or its purposefulness. So I think these are the three things that need to be done immediately.
And what galls you the most? What galls you the most in what you've heard so far from
That
everyone?
nothing changes. Nothing changes. That is galling. What is galling is that nothing ever changes. And as I said yesterday to you, we are Romans in our DNA. We are fickle. We will forget. The point is, we will forget until the next tragedy. Why? Because accountability in India is dead long ago. Demonstrable punishment doesn't exist. Now you tell me, Shweta Singh, whose name appeared during the Indigo issues, and now, shouldn't the DGCA have done an internal inquiry? And I'm not only saying Shweta Singh, whoever, there was a photograph of some Indigo people actually operating the computers in the DGCA, whatever it is. Shouldn't there have been an inquiry? Shouldn't there be a background check on who this Shweta Singh is? Someone told me she was related to Pramod Mahajan or Pramod Mahajan's son. I don't know the details. You know, everyone has a conspiracy theory. I'm only going on the basis of what I've been told. Shouldn't there be an inquiry? Shouldn't you actually bring back the trust of people? And I totally agree. I think, I don't know if it was Amit or Mr. Captain Randhawa who said that this we are opening more airports than we have goddamn flights or passengers to fly to them. Do you know there's an airport in Durgapur? Did you know that? I don't think even the birds fly into that airport. Forget aircraft. We opened it.
Yeah.
So you keep opening airports to bloody put a statistical thing ki bhai dekho hum itne bade desh ban gaye hain. What a great country we are for aviation. We are nothing. Let's assess our reality.
Yeah.
Because human life is cheap, we allow this nonsense to continue year after year, accident after accident.
I have a lot of questions on, you know, even the fact that nothing much happened with Indigo. At that time, too, there was talk of collusion between private operators and the DGCA.
They showed photographs.
Yeah,
you saw photographs of those Indigo chaps working out of DGCA offices.
And
actually,
today,
DGCA should be working out of Indigo. Why should the taxpayer fund a government building? Udhar hi kaam kar lo. Anyway, I have to peel off.
Okay, you have to peel off. So before I come back to the three pilot veterans, just a last thought. If you were the DGCA today, what would you do immediately? You would issue this statement, but would you order an internal inquiry? You would resign?
I would resign, yes.
If
I was the chief of the DGCA, I would resign and I would be going out in glory because no one else seems to resign anymore. There was a time in this country when there was a train accident, the minister would resign because they would take moral responsibility. But when we live in times which are totally immoral, why would they bother? If I was the chief of the DGCA, I would resign and say, I'm submitting myself to an inquiry, and then I would play a game. The game that I would then play is a game of brilliant chess. And I would say, I'm submitting myself to the inquiry, but I also know that these are the things that I inherited. Because apparently the new DGCA head, whoever he is, I don't even know his name, is apparently a good person. But boss, if we are good people, then you join the missionaries of charity. We don't need good people. We need competent people. This country for far too long, I said, yeah, he's a clean minister.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be clean, for God's sake. That is not a virtue. He's supposed to be bloody good at his job. That's the issue. So if I were the DGCA chief, I would play a game of chess. I would resign. I would say, I'm submitting myself to this investigation. But here is what I've inherited. Because he would know everything.
Yeah.
That would be doing a great service. And all these guys, in any case, get hired by private airlines. So he doesn't need to worry about a job later.
Okay, you've really set the cat among the pigeons with a very serious and provocative, but very, I would say, appropriate comment. If you were the head of the DGCA, you would resign. You would expect some resignations out of the DGCA, but they don't seem to come at all. So here we're going to let you go. I know you've already overextended your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Sam. Thank you, Captain Randhawa. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Sohail. Thank you. Let's keep this conversation going. We have a few minutes left. I want to come to you, Captain Thomas. You spoke about the pressure that comes from political cronies. What else leaps out for you, in everything we're hearing? I really, when I was speaking to this whistleblower, I was hearing the anxiety in his voice, the fact that he feels this could happen to him next, the fact that this has happened to his colleagues, and the fact that there's no space within these companies for pilots to say anything, or first officers, or engineers, or any other stuff.
Ma'am, that is one of the things that we've been fighting right from IFALPA to ALPA all the way, a punitive culture. Now, when you have a punitive culture, that's taking you backwards in time. So you will have the fear of people reporting actual incidences. They should be allowed to freely, without repercussion, come and report to you. So should be the pilots. Today, I'll give you an example of a pilot who's been grounded for the last 120 days and he doesn't know who has grounded him. He went off the runway in a King Air, and so he's in contact with AAIB, who says, look, I have got 20 files ahead of you. I will look at you when I have the time. And therefore he says, now what do I do till then? He said that we are not responsible for, go talk to DGCA. DGCA tells no, you have been grounded till AIB tells you that you're clear. One more thing that we'd like to point out is it's not always pleasurable to say, I told you so. We were together at the Air India 171 crash. We had brought all these points out. We were together when the Indigo mess happened. We brought the same points out. And today, again, we are bringing these points back. So it's not really, always nice to say, hey, I told you so. I will tell you so again in the next program. And
anyway, what does that change? I mean, you're not going to get anything out of being right? It's a tragedy. Lives have been lost. Yet again, Captain Randhawa, if I may bring you in, there are whispers about pilot error. We've been seeing speculation about the commander of this aircraft. Again, I don't know any of these people. I hold no brief for anyone individually, but it's often the easiest thing to do without evidence. I want you to comment on the whistleblower saying that FDTL regulations are not being followed by this charter and documents are actually being falsified. And again, I'll explain this simply for members of our audience who are not from aviation. So if a pilot, let's say, is flying X number of hours in a single day, the documents will show those same hours spread out across two days on the paperwork. So the paperwork will meet the compliance, but the reality won't. I mean, what can ALPA, FIP do about these things? Can you raise your voice on this?
See, we can keep talking about safety, Barkha, like what we found even in the Indigo crisis, how much the media raked it up, and you see the inquiry report. What a clean sheet and what a mockery of inquiry was conducted. Now we know the facts. You know the facts, that what is happening in the NSOPs, what you bought out the facts, but nothing is going to change in this country. That is I am convinced on this, because there is no action which takes place. We are aware that in the NSOPs, in the flying clubs, this type of logging does happen. If you go and check the records, of these NSOPs, right? You would be shocked that how many snacks.
What is NSOP?
NSOP, non-scheduled operators permit. These the NSOPs. All these company. See, you have the scheduled carriers, you have the non-scheduled operators, and you have the general aviation. Now, in these three categories, now you are doing the audits of the scheduled airlines every year, and non-scheduled operators, you're doing it once in 2 years. Now, it's quite a sham, because the 2 days, 2.5 days, 2 days are given for these, audit. And supposing there are 17 aircraft, it's like an airline. You require the audit to be done at least for 5-7 days, working days minimum. Okay, so it is more of an eyewash when you go and check the record sincerely and all. I have done enough audits, and whenever I have gone to these NSOPs and all, I've always found level 1 findings. Now, when you have the level 1 findings, they are supposed to correct it within a week. Now, the problem is that there are people who will be willing to take out faults, and then there'll be problems in all these NSOPs and FTOs. But what is the action? What is the action? Zero. The ultimate responsibility lies with the DGCA, and there is no action. Like if you today, if inquiry
So why
is
is there
held,
why is there no action? Is it a lack of expertise? Is it a lack of intent? Is it a
lack of
is it a case
intent,
of
lack
or is
of
it a case
intent,
of collusion,
lack of
corruption?
intent, because you do not want to shut them down. Now the same thing happens in the flying clubs. Now they have come out with that. Okay, they were going to fit cameras in the cockpit, to find out that who was on the controls, because there are a lot of complaints which came out that when you do a solo flight, when a pilot is supposed to do solo, they are actually doing a dolo. That means another pilot is sitting in the cockpit.
Yeah.
So now, how the confidence will come in that person? Now, even in the logging part, I would say the logging part is again the FDTL rules are being breached because in these NSOPs, who is monitoring them? Who is monitoring them?
I
Now,
mean, this just sounds like a quagmire of things that aren't going to change, frankly, Captain Randhawa. Let me, sorry, you want to complete your sentence? I'll give the last word to Amit after that. Captain Randhawa?
Yeah. What I'm trying to emphasize over here, that the FDTL rules, and now who's going to monitor? Like you need a policeman. You cannot have one policeman for each individual in the country. Similarly, now DGCA doesn't even have the manpower what they're supposed to have, was based on consensus of 2000. Now 25 years have passed. The aviation is expanded so much, but they're short of so many vacancies. Now they have also got constraint. Now the problem is that you require a lot of manpower, and we have been suggesting earlier also, and Dr. Naseem Zaidi tried his level best to make it into a civil aviation authority, but government doesn't want to lose the control. That is the whole problem.
But sir, let me give Captain Amit the last word. If the government wants to control it, then you need to have people who understand the technicalities, the debates around it, put the right experts. Captain Amit Singh, I want to bring you in also on the larger issue of the silence of the AAIB. The fact that the 2023 investigation into another crash by a plane leased from VSR is not complete. It's shocking. Why is there no time frame for these investigations? The fact that the AAIB has been silent on your petition and the petition by Captain Sumit Sabharwal's father, he was the Air India 171 captain, and the father is 91 years old. He's in the twilight of his life, and it's a total Tariq pe Tariq situation, right? I want your last thoughts. I mean, how do we get to the truth, either of this crash or what happened in AI 171, or indeed what happened in 2023, the CCTV footage of which is on your screen?
See, all entities in this ecosystem are backing each other so that truth doesn't come out. So nobody wants to improve the system. They just want that things should carry on. So this is Air India 171 is not the first case. I've been at it for the last 10 years. And there were so many accidents that I've read, including Mr. Madhurao Sindhia's accident. If you read that particular report, you'll be surprised that they themselves don't read their own reports. The report contradicts itself. The probable cause was the pilot entered into a cloud, the aircraft went into a spin and crashed. But in another section of the report, which is the MET part, meteorological part, it says there are no clouds. Which cloud did the aircraft enter? I have satellite photographs of that day. There were no clouds. But the report says, so that is how AIB, the investigation happens here. There were other examples wherein DGCA and DGCA officials were basically blamed for undermining or downgrading accidents. So if it is an accident, they will file it as a serious incident or even an incident. So if the system is not getting credible data feedback, how will the system improve? The system will say everything is fine because there has been no accident. The ICAO audit, which happened in 2022, after which DGCA and the government has been climbing on top of the roof and saying that we have gone up from 70% to 85%, and they have been given a certificate by ICAO. If you read that report, ICAO says in the last 5 years, there has been 0 accidents. 2022, Calicut happened in 2020. So how come there are, if ICAO is not given credible evidence or ICAO does not record accidents, of course, your report card will improve. AIB was not audited by ICAO. Why? The airports are unsatisfactory. Your performance-based navigation, unsatisfactory. Your foundation of safety, unsatisfactory. So nobody is reading inside the report. They're just reading the percentage that I've got 85%. But nobody is seeing what exactly is wrong with the system. Where is the system heading? So people who do not have technical knowledge are basically guiding the whole system. And
it is beyond, I would say it's beyond grim, because I think we seem to lurch from crash to crash, headline to headline, mishap to mishap, disaster to disaster. And public memory fades in the hope that, this happens to other people. But I think we should all start looking at air safety as an issue of public interest, because it is about all of us. Yes, Amit, yes.
Regarding VVIP and the pressure.
Yeah.
Nobody is talking about one, we call it a close call with the Prime Minister on board. So on 29th August 2025, the Indian Prime Minister landed in Haneda in Japan. The India 1777 landed halfway down the runway and just about managed to stop at the end of the runway. So that is an unstable approach. The pilot should have gone around. Landing on that approach is a high risk with the VVIP on board. So nevertheless, even though there's a VVIP on board, that risk has to be
we saw it recently. Trump was headed to Davos and Air Force One actually went back and they issued a statement saying that as a matter of abundant precaution, Trump will have to go on a different aircraft. So what can matter more than life itself? I don't understand. What
that
can
is
matter?
The culture we have. The culture has to change. It is not, you can't get after every individual.
Absolutely.
It is the whole
Captain Sam, I think, wants to add something and then I'll close after that. Captain Sam?
Ma'am, I would completely agree with a lot of inputs, or rather the observations that the panelists have. I also own an NSOP and we try and do the best we can, but what we require is a systemic change. It's not something that you can change either an NSOP or a regular scheduled operator or general aviation. The entire system needs to change, and the change needs all the way from top to bottom. And if you start bottom up, it's going to be the only solution that we have at the moment. Otherwise, we'll be on conversation again and again and again saying the same things. And I wish we never meet, or rather we meet under pleasurable circumstances, not these.
Absolutely. And just to say, in the end, I'll only say that till we, the people, start looking at air safety as a matter of public interest, not something that happens to other people, not something that's so technical that we can't understand it. Yes, of course, the experts will understand the technicalities, but we should be invested in it. For anyone who takes a flight, we should be invested in it, right? It is about all of us. We leave it there. Our Whistleblowers account has raised many, many grave questions, and we hope that there will be some answers to them in the forthcoming days. To Captain Thomas, to Captain Amit Singh, to Captain Randhawa, earlier to Suhail Seth. Thank you, and to our audience, thank you for being such an engaged audience. We'll keep following the twists and turns of this investigation, as well as all of the other aviation stories that we've been uncovering. Thank you for watching. See you soon. It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Voter Story and support independent, robust journalism.